Nurturing Life project. I am Dr. Leah Andrews and I'm going to be making dang gui chicken. This is a traditional Chinese herbal dish to build the blood, often given to women after they finish their period or after there's been any kind of blood loss. It's not seen as the best tasting food, but with a little bit of preparation, it's actually a really yummy dish. First, we start off with an organic chicken, a whole chicken. It's kind of a small chicken. What I did was I removed the organ meats from the little pouch and I put them right back in because we want all of those nutrients in our dang gui chicken soup. The easiest way to marinate the chicken is to put it in a plastic bag. So I'm just going to get the chicken here. Put her in the bag. I just use a mortar and pestle to grind up about a tablespoon of salt and 1 clove of garlic. I like to use real salt. It has more minerals in it. It's a little bit healthier for you. So I'm just going to add the garlic here to my bag. Next I'm going to add some onions. I've just chopped 1 small onion. Add it to my bag. About 1 tablespoon of fresh ginger. I leave the pieces of skin on there that helps as a diuretic. Then I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to balance out the vinegar with a little bit of water. So for 1/4 cup of vinegar, I'm putting 2 quarters of a cup, half a cup of water. I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of olive oil. This is to keep the chicken from drying out. Then I want to add some herbs. I'm just going to toss in kind of what I like to eat. So maybe a smidge of tarragon. You can season this however you prefer. I'm going to use some marjoram. It's maybe about a teaspoon, a little more. And then thyme, which is my favorite. That I'm going to put a little bit more in. You can also add some pepper if you like. So I'm going to seal my bag. And then we want to make sure you seal your bag before you do this. You only do that one once. We're going to mix this all up. And if it's not enough liquid, you can always add a little bit more water, a little bit more vinegar. Next, I put the chicken with the bag just in a bowl to keep it in place. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator overnight. After the chicken has spent the night in the refrigerator, it's time to take it out. I've preheated the oven to 450 degrees. And this is not the prettiest pot I have, but it's very useful for this type of thing. You want something where you can pick up the chicken separate from the drippings, because you're going to conserve the drippings for your bone broth later on. And I'm going to put my beautiful chicken here, take it out of the bag. And put it on my little tray. And I'm going to put all of this beautiful marinade on top of it. And I always like to do a little prayer, a little thank you to the chicken that has given its life for our nourishment. I think it's always important to show respect. Right before I put the chicken in the oven, I'm going to turn it down to 400 degrees. And I'm going to cook it for about 50 minutes to an hour. I'm going to keep checking on it and see how it's doing. I've cooked the chicken, and I've removed all of the meat from the bones, and I've conserved the drippings. The meat I'm going to add later on if I want to add meat to my stock, but if I use it during the process of making the bone broth, it's going to get all dried out. Now I like to use my favorite pressure cooker, the Tefal NutriCook, but you can use a regular pot, you can use another pressure cooker, you can use a crock pot, whatever is convenient for you. The most important part, of course, this is all of the bones, connective tissue, some of the skin, all of the scraps, the non-meat items are going to go into the pot. Next, I'm going to add the drippings. Don't worry about the fat. Later on, at the end of the process, we'll remove all of the fat from here. Next, I'm going to add tomatoes. I've skinned and de-seeded these so they don't get bitter. But the reason I'm adding tomatoes, when I'm making chicken bone stock, adding the tomatoes helps to really pull out that gelatinous kind of the nutrients there that really help to improve the consistency of the broth and also the nutrient value. So I'm going to add a tomato here. I also have some vegetables. This is just what I had on hand, but it happens to be good to nourish the blood. We have some carrots, some beets, some beet greens. I'm going to add a nice thick slice of ginger. And of course, we have our herbs. For dangui chicken, we always have dangui. This is 15 grams of dangui. The other herbs are going to be your choice based on what you're experiencing or what your patient is experiencing. So I have here 30 grams of huang qi astragalus. This is really great in combination, as many of you know, with dangui to strongly build the blood. It's going to increase the immunity, increase the qi. I have about 15 grams of goji berries, 15 grams of fuling, poria cocos. This fuling is really good paired with blood tonics to build the blood, also removes any water weight. And then we have about 6 grams of chenpi tangerine peel. This helps to harmonize the tonifying qualities of the other herbs. And then I have 2 beautiful red jujube dates, hong cao, and these I'm going to score a little bit just to help to make sure they cook thoroughly. Just going to cut through them, they're really mushy here. And also, as an aside, you want to make sure you rinse all of your herbs beforehand. So I'm just going to add these guys into the mix. The only herbs that I'm adding that don't taste very good is the dangui, which is necessary, so hopefully when you add other flavors it'll hide some of that. I'm going to add some more salt. Again, my real salt here. I like things a little bit on the salty side, so I'm just going to kind of, maybe like a teaspoon, maybe a little more in there. And then I'm just going to cover this up with water. I'm going to cook this with my pressure cooker for about an hour. Now, if you're using a crock pot or using a stove, you want to cook it for at least 2 to 2.5 hours to fully extract all of the nutrients. After the pressure cooker is done, all I do is I strain out all of the herbs, vegetables, and the remnants of the bones. And what we have left is this lovely broth here, and this is dangui chicken broth. You can use that as your base for soups. You can freeze it and keep it in the refrigerator. You can just drink the broth, however you want to take it.